This is Gary Atensi with CNTV, and today we're in Denver, Colorado. We are here at Bistro at Stapleton. Since 2014, this comfortable atmosphere with an unmatched cuisine has been providing an elegant dining experience for the folks here in Stapleton. I'm here with the owner, Chef Anthony. Thanks so much for joining us here today. Let's start off a little bit about yourself, first of all. You yourself, you're a graduate of the School of New Orleans,
yes.
Food and Wine. You really have worked across kitchens across the United States, all the way from Brooklyn, New York to Colorado. Let's start out, what brought you here and got you started in this type of industry?
Well, it started out a long time ago. I mean, I started working in a pizzeria actually here in Aurora, Scotto's Pizzeria, very, very long time ago. And I was just intrigued by it because everything there was made from scratch at the time. We had, we made our own ricotta, we made our own mozzarella, we made our own doughs, we made everything inside the restaurant. And I'll never forget my first day of work coming home. I was like cut up and soaked from head to toe from doing prep work and dish work. And my mom asked me if I was going to quit, and I told her no. I think I'm going to be a chef one day. I think this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And ever since then, I've worked in restaurants throughout Colorado. I mean, I was born in Brooklyn, but I'm Colorado grown. I've been here since before the blizzard of '82. So, I mean, I'm about as local as they get sometimes when it comes to chefs out here.
Absolutely great story. I mean, obviously something you didn't quit, but actually kept at it and got very good at. An actual bistro for our viewers out there. Let's try to define that. I mean, this is something that started maybe in Paris, but it's made its way to the United States. And how would you define bistro for folks?
Bistro is basically just very textbook. It's great food with a casual atmosphere, and that's what we try to produce here. We want, I always tell people I don't own the place, the neighborhood does, because the neighborhood is what really keeps us alive and what drives us in being inside of Stapleton. And I want a casual place where individuals can come and enjoy a cocktail after work. They can bring a date, they can have date night, they can escape for their kids, or they can just come in just because they want to come in and grab a great burger or grab a great sandwich.
Excellent. I mean, the location itself, we're talking about a corner spot that has become the cornerstone, really, of the people here at Stapleton. I got to admit that the outside does not look like the inside. I was pleasantly surprised when I walked in here, and this place is pretty sweet. Do people kind of get taken back when they walk in as well?
They do, and the funny part is most people say that, we didn't even know you were here, and we lived in the neighborhood for so long. And it's we do a lot of it like word of mouth. I mean, our sign blew down before I got here, and we just put up the sign, and we're starting to get people coming in and just being like, "There's a restaurant here," and they didn't even know. But we have the huge patio outside. We're busy all the time. I mean, we were doing jazz on Wednesday nights, so we have a jazz band that comes on every single Wednesday night and kind of hangs out, and it's a great place for the neighborhood to kick it.
One thing that brings people together, obviously, is terrific food, and that is really what you're able to bring your experience right here to the table. That's what you do best.
Yeah, it is. And I like food that hugs. I like food that makes people feel like it's comforting, that it makes people feel like it's good everyday food. There's the restaurants in Denver where some people can't afford to eat every single day, and there's some places where people can't afford to eat every day and they don't want to. So I had to try and find balance for our neighborhood, our clientele, that says, this is something that people can afford to eat every single day, they want to eat every single day, and that the food is delicious, it's memorable, and it's craveable. So
excellent. Let's start off and give them a taste of what they're going to find as far as appetizers. We're talking from bruschetta to Mulberry Street cheese dip.
Yes.
Tell me about what would you recommend there?
I really like our burrata. Our burrata is a pulled mozzarella. It has some really nice stracciatella on the inside. We're serving it with 36-month aged prosciutto di Parma, sweetie drop peppers, Savora mustard. Our meat and cheese boards are phenomenal also. I mean, they're not like most meat and cheese boards where you go to another restaurant and you feel disappointed that you ordered it, because we throw on the charcuterie, we throw on the cheeses. We want people to enjoy wine and enjoy the spirit and kind of sit, relax, and chill. So we make our appetizers and our dishes a little bit bigger than what the most normal places are. I mean, the mulberry cheese dip is a huge seller, but it's it is what it is. It's a good old fashioned, comforting kind of like cheese dish where you're just like, oh, this is so good, but it's so bad for me. But at the same time, it's so plain, but people love it, and we sell so much of it. So.
Excellent. As we move into salad as a meal or salad as a starter, regardless of which one you choose, the key word is fresh ingredients.
Yes. We try and source, and I try and source everything as possibly that I can possibly get as organic as possible. A lot of people are into the farm to table, or they're saying it's locally sourced. Like, I'm not going to lie to you or BS anybody in the neighborhood and be like, oh, we're getting this all from Colorado farms, because not all the time we can. So I try and get stuff that's, at least organic. As we get our produce in 3-4 times a week. Sometimes I'll make a special trip to a purveyor just because I know I can't get an order on a Saturday, so I'll go and pick it up on a Saturday. But I really try and get as much fresh local produce as possible, as much organic produce as possible, just because it's something that people are conscious about. It's something that people are really paying notice to. The farm to table thing is really big right now, even though I'm not really big into it. I'm not going to go out and buy a pair of overalls and buy a farm and start raising cattle anytime soon. I'm just too city boy for that. But I do appreciate the notion, and I do like the idea of people that do it. I think it's a very respectful thing to do, and I think it's raising consciousness in the community. I think it's raising consciousness amongst chefs, saying that, we're going to start caring about the ingredients that we're putting into a plate, opposed to finding the best dollar value for the ingredients that we put in the plate.
That is excellent. Based on the reviews out there, it sounds like this is a great place to come in with an appetite and leave full. One of those is panini. For folks who have never tried that before, what would you recommend they try?
Our Cuban sandwiches, I'm not going to lie, it's probably the best in the city. And I feel very, very heartfelt about that because of my Latin background. The mojo, that pork that we use inside of there, is one of my father's recipes. It's been passed down for a few generations now. We use a really, really amazing upscale ham that we get from Skaggs Company. We use a Sabor yellow mustard, which is a really nice kind of herbaceous and sweet mustard, and then we use great pickles on top of that with great bread and great ingredients and nice English butter. So it's something that's a little bit different. It's a lot fancier than your normal pressed Cuban, but we sell a ton of them, and they're really, really popular around here. The bistro burger is really big. I mean, we're talking grass-fed, grain-finished beef with a truffle and black garlic aioli. We're using guanciale on that. We're using arugula. We're using tomatoes, and it's just a really, really great dish. Our Stapleton prosciutto is really popular right now, which is a prosciutto panini with pig jam, a little bit of nice mustard, some arugula, some grilled onions, and some brie cheese. And then we have some new things coming out. We're about to change the menu. I try and change the menu whenever I start getting bored of looking at stuff. So like we have a Reuben coming out, which is the we call it the Reuben because it has a very Latin influence to it. It has tortuga sauce on it, and then it has a little bit of escabeche vegetables with some really nice navel cut Vienna beef pastrami, and then some manchego cheese on that. So you're eating a Reuben, but you're like, it doesn't feel like a Reuben. So we kind of play around with it a little bit, but those are some of our biggest sandwiches that are going out the door around here.
And we're talking about a full menu that is offered 7 days a week, so you name time of the day, you can come in, have an entree. One of those seasonal changers is the fresh market fish. Tell me about that a little bit.
We try and buy as much fresh fish as we possibly can. My sous chef knows not to order anything past than what we can serve during that service. I like to get fresh fish every single day. I mean, we're right by Seattle Fish Company, so it's not hard for them to drop us off something. But at that same point in time, we're trying to use a lot of invasive species too. We're using species that are, that basically people aren't using as protein. So we'll use some lionfish. We'll use different kinds of fish like that are like destroying ecosystems. And by us learning how to use them in dishes, is providing a greater living environment for other fish in the area. These fish have no natural predators. So using stuff like that, it's just a little bit better. It's a little more conscious, and it's a better way to kind of help the environment and one of our greatest resources, which is our ocean.
Excellent. Speaking of entrees, one of my favorite has to be steak. Tell me about your butcher's cut of aged beef there.
Our butcher's cut is basically we supply any animal that we could possibly get out there, whether it's lamb, whether it's beef, whether it's pork, whether it's, yak, whether it's venison, bison, deer, whatever you can think of is what the butcher's cut is about. Is we didn't want to limit ourselves to just doing one steak, and we didn't want to limit ourselves to just doing one cut of pork. What we wanted to do was be able to like flare it out and give people something different, that every time they came in there, they were getting something different. We wanted people to go, let's go to the bistro. We wanted people to go, let's go to the bistro, because what are they doing next? What are they doing now?
Like you say, different is the key here. We've all tried pork before, but I imagine many have not tried a bourbon berry with candied pecans.
Yes.
I mean, these are tastes that are probably very unique to your place here.
Yes, they are. That bourbon berry pork, we use a really, really nice pork loin, and we leave the fat cap on so it has a little bit more flavor to it. We roll it in a jerk spice and then reduce it, and we sear it off, and then we have a nice reduced blackberry bourbon sauce that we use with it, made with Colorado bourbon and some really nice fresh blackberries, and then we reduce it, and then we strain it a few times, and so it's this really, really nice light clear purple syrup that goes over the top of it. We serve it with an arugula and a radish salad with some flaked Parmesan cheese, and it's just a very nice simple dish to just kind of get the taste buds going.
You're definitely known for your unique dishes, your seasonal offerings, fresh ingredients, but I imagine it's not a complete meal for many people without a great glass of wine. Tell me about that.
We do have a really amazing list. I try to keep our list as affordable as possible. I am not out there to gouge people when it comes to the wine list. I'm not out there to really gouge anybody when it comes to, most restaurants are like standard industry. We're going to mark it up 4 times the price. That's what we're doing. We don't do that here. I mark it up enough to make a profit, but I want people to keep on coming back. Once again, we're local. We're a neighborhood place. I try and care about people's financial situations because it kind of helps mine out a little bit. I mean, the more they're here buying wine, the better it is. And I would rather, let people know that, hey, if either of you get another glass of wine, you're basically paying for the bottle. Do you want to get a bottle? And we'll drop the bottle on the table, opposed to just selling them glass by glass by glass by glass by glass and not giving them any value to it. We have a great cocktail program. John Benson, our mixologist, spends hours, researching, different bourbons, different gins, different this, different that. I mean, he's very precise down to, the type of tonic that we use, the type of ice that we use, which at first, seriously, at first, I was not the person that believed that ice can make the difference in a cocktail. And then after, working with him for about a month and a half, he was like, this is why we get this ice, and this is why we can only buy this ice from that company. And then he made me drinks with another kind of ice and this kind of ice and that kind of ice, and you actually see the difference in the way the ice breaks down. So the guy's kind of a genius, man. He does a really good job. We make our own amaretto, we make our own limoncello, we make a lot of our own tinctures and bitters in the house, and it's all because of that dude right there. When it comes to the bar, there is nobody else that would rather have my back when it comes to that, and knowing that everything's going to be taken care of when he's there. He just does an amazing job.
So this barman extraordinaire, he has also raised the bar along with you right there in the kitchen, be it a glass of wine or a signature cocktail that people are talking over. It really boils down to people, a gathering place, people getting together, community, really the pulse of Stapleton.
It is, and we have become the place where the adults in the neighborhood can go and have a good time. We are very friendly to children, but we're not a very kid-friendly restaurant. I mean, that's what downtown Stapleton's for. That's what the big chains are for when they want to go out and do that. This is the adults in the neighborhood's place to just say hey, we need to take a breather from life for a little bit. Leave the kids with the nanny or find a babysitter. We need to come out and we need to be adults, and we need to go someplace that's not too far because we have to get home, or it's a work night, or we have the chance to escape, or for people that are commuting to the airport and looking for a place where they can just go and have some unbothered time and some upscale food. That's who we are. That's what we want to be. I'm a very touchable and approachable chef where, I know a lot of it, learned to know a lot of the people in the neighborhood, build friendships with people in the neighborhood. And, I think they see that. I think as restaurants, we tend to forget what makes us thrive, and it's the people that come in. And I think once you lose contact with them, and once you start cooking for yourself opposed to cooking for them like you're supposed to do, I think people start seeing that, and it becomes off as being snotty and arrogant. Me, I'm open to ideas, I'm open to suggestions. I'm, going over to learn how to cook collard greens, because one of the guys, this guy named Andre Rudolph, came over and brought collard greens to me, and they were probably the best collard greens I've ever had in my life. I mean, they put mine to shame. And I like going over there, in a couple weeks to make some collards and hang out with them for the afternoon. Those are the kind of relationships you build with people, and I think people respect that. I always tell, you'll hear me say it over and over again.
Absolutely.
I don't own the restaurant, the neighborhood does, and I don't work for the restaurant, I work for the neighborhood. I work for the people that are important, the people why we did this, why my investors put this together, and the reason why they have so much faith in me to do the right thing. I think it's shown over the last year and the year and a half, and how we've changed and how we've grown up and how we're still growing and how we're still evolving. So.
Speaking with you, Anthony, you almost remind me of the original bistros, landlords that basically opened up their house. They opened up their kitchen to make a little bit of profit on top of the landlord. They weren't gouging people. They were just basically opening up their good quality food for people out there. Basically, your mindset when it comes to profit as well as great food really sounds like that. This has really been you opening up your own personal kitchen and inviting your friends in. Has this been rewarding for you?
Honestly, it's been my dream for the longest time. I don't think there's any chef that says I want to grow up and not have my own place. It's the biggest reward of my life. I mean, it sucks sometimes because it takes time away from your family, and it's hard on the relationship every once in a while because you're working 16, 17-hour days. But to any chef out there will agree with me that, dude, that's what it's all about. Like, that's why we did this. We knew it when we signed up. We knew it the first time we washed a dish. We knew it the first time we ever broke a sauce or made a plate or did this or did that. I think it's why we do it. It's what we're passionate about. We're passionate about the long hours and the close quarters and the hot summer days while you're in a 400-degree kitchen and you're sweating to the gills. But at that same point in time, it's the laughs that you have with those men and women that are standing beside you that make it worth it. It's the laughs that you see, and when you see people do the head nod and the bob and the fork, that's the greatest compliment to any cook out there. Any cook out there is when they take a bite of that food and then they point and their eyes close just a little bit. That just says you did it right. It just says you're doing the right thing right now, and that's important. That's really important. So
great story. I'm glad you let us come out and do this interview. Viewers, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. On the website, first of all, you can learn a little bit more about the company here. You can also take a look at their menu. Keep in mind, though, this is an ever-changing menu. Basically, he's bringing with you really a global market, tastes from across the world that you're going to find here, yet in a very community-driven atmosphere. Very comfortable place to come in. Affordable enough you can come in and eat throughout the week, try out some great entrees, appetizers. You can also take a look on Facebook. They'll keep you apprised of any specials, online specials they've got going out there. They also have community events take place here, learn to paint at the bistro. These are all things that basically bring people in as really a gathering place. Remember, that is Bistro at Stapleton. Food that hugs. This is Gary Atensi with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.